All right. Well, thanks for coming back to the Bigfoot Society podcast. I have the honor of interviewing Liz Pavlovic today. She's the creative force behind Keep On Creepin On, and her art shows the wonder of West Virginia to the rest of the world. And we're thankful for it because you make some cool stuff. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's just get right into it. Well, first off, is there anything else that you would want the people to know about you to add on to that introduction?
Not too much really. I mean, I do also do like design stuff for other people and businesses, but mostly in
Awesome.
West Virginia. So
Okay. And you are based out of West Virginia, correct?
yeah, I'm in Morgantown.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'm curious, Liz, how did you get into cryptids originally? What's the thing that drew you to that?
I was into like aliens and somewhat monsters a lot growing up, but cryptids specifically became more of an interest for me around like 2017
Mm.
when I went to the Mothman Festival for the first time.
Oh,
And
awesome.
yeah, so after that, I was just kind of like obsessed with Mothman and then also learning about other West Virginia cryptids.
It's understandable. I mean, there are so many cryptids in West Virginia. It's crazy. Like you guys have
Yeah.
probably, I would say, the most of any state, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, it's like a hot spot.
It is.
It's,
It's a total hotspot. I'm curious to actually, before we do this, what was your first initial thought when you saw the Mothman statue for the first time? What was that moment like?
I mean, it's a really cool statue. It's pretty tall, so you're just kind of like, whoa. And I think, the sun was shining on it. I think my other first thought was like, he's very ripped.
He's very, yeah. I can't wait until I see him in the Majesty in person, but that day has
Oh
not
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
But someday that will happen. What does keep on creeping on mean? What's the story behind that name?
That name, I mean, it comes from the phrase "keep on keeping on,"
Okay.
obviously, but
Hmm.
so, it's kind of a positive sentiment. And I like creepy, weird stuff, so I don't know. It just kind of came to me one day. I guess 4 or 5 years ago, probably, and I started using it as the name for a zine series that I was doing,
Oh, nice.
and then changed my Instagram handle and a couple of other things, and yeah, just kind of stuck with it, and then it ended up kind of becoming like my brand for Etsy and stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, do you remember if was there a moment that you realized, hey, this is actually kind of kicking off and like this could be a thing and maybe I'll start making enamel pins and then I'll make this and this and it just like kind of went nuts.
Yeah, yeah, to some extent. The first things I kind of did, like I did the pepperoni roll, enamel
Mm-hmm.
pin, and the hot dog pin, just because I kind of wanted to do West Virginia merch or something that wasn't WVU related. I mean, WVU is fine, but um, I mean, I just wanted like personally more West Virginia stuff that was about food and folklore and like the culture and stuff here. So I made those, and I was surprised by the response to those, being even more positive like than I expected. And so that then combined with like going to the Mothman Fest and getting into cryptids here too, and realizing how many cryptids are in West Virginia, and started doing that stuff. And so then I did do the Mothman pin next and Flatwoods Monster. And that was, I guess, when
Awesome.
it started to kind of take off. Yeah. And I was like, oh, like people are like, there's like a whole scene of cryptid people, which I didn't really know existed, which
Totally.
was
Oh,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah.
It's so weird. And like if you get into TikTok, oh
Yeah.
man, you think you know
That's
it
like
right now.
overwhelming.
You get into TikTok and you look into like hashtag cryptid core and it will just change your
Oh my
life.
God.
And it's like, wow, these people really like Mothman and more power to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. The
It's
Mothman thing
amazing.
just, yeah, Mothman exploded in the past few years, I guess, it seemed
Yeah.
like.
Oh, totally. I agree. I agree. Um, that leads us, it actually, before that, so I'm curious, how do you explain the phenomenon of pepperoni rolls to out of staters, like non-West Virginia people? What is it? Because as an Iowa person, like we have stuff out here, but like, but what's the deal with the pepperoni rolls?
So they are the state food here.
Okay.
They originated from Italian families and immigrants in the state, and mostly like the wives and family members of coal miners who wanted them to have like a portable snack that was mostly like you could hold in one hand, you could take it over mine. Full meal. That was like a full meal that they could have. And
It looks like it.
yeah. And it was pretty preserved. Obviously, it didn't really need to be refrigerated.
That's true.
So they actually passed a law here. I can't remember what year, but not that long ago, making it like legal to sell them because it's a meat that's not refrigerated, even though it's just, it's pepperoni. So it's very preserved already.
Wow.
But
really?
So there's like a special law here. So, they're just on shelves in like every gas station. But yeah, so it's just like it's maybe very slightly sweet, but soft roll. And then there's slices of pepperoni inside, sometimes sticks of pepperoni.
Wow.
And very rarely ground pepperoni. And
oh my goodness.
There's different cheeses in them sometimes, spicy or not.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah, sometimes some restaurants do them like loaded up with sauce and peppers and stuff. So there's a pretty big variety.
I'm gonna have to start a pepperoni roll podcast. This is great.
Yeah.
Is there like a top restaurant? I'm not, by the way, but that would be great. Someone should start that. Like Moth Boys, get on it.
Yeah.
Is there like a restaurant where like they have the best pepperoni roll that you found, or?
My favorite is Tomorrow's.
Okay.
It's mostly a bakery, I guess, more than like a sit down restaurant kind of place, but they just have like, you can get them super fresh. And those are my favorite, but there are a few kind of bakeries like that around the state. And then there are some restaurants that kind of have more like homemade style. Very cool.
Very cool. Greg so this is a listener question. So Greg from All the Weird on Instagram and Order 66, which is a great Star Wars podcast you should all check out. It's from the Patreon as well. Where would your dream location be to hold an art show of your work?
Oh man, that's a good question.
It is a good question. Yeah.
I mean, I guess Point Pleasant would be really cool.
Oh yeah.
Probably somewhere in West Virginia. I mean, I haven't, Charleston would be neat, I guess. I haven't gotten to do a big show there, but I guess I would gravitate towards Point Pleasant or maybe like some kind of weird venue somewhere.
I wonder if I haven't been to Point Pleasant, but I wonder if there's like any art galleries there. That would actually be kind of cool. Like someone should get on the Point Pleasant art gallery. Go for it, guys.
They have a lot of cool shops and stuff. I don't know if there's a dedicated gallery space.
I know they have a pizza place where you can you can get a Mothman pizza.
Yeah.
That's on the list too. That's pretty solid. I'm curious I look at your designs and they are all like amazing, but I'm curious, like, what are you using? Are you drawing these on paper first or using an iPad? Like, what are your tools usually to get these going?
I mostly use an iPad nowadays. Okay. Sometimes I do some sketching on paper first, but usually I'll do like sketching on my iPad and then, finish that out in Procreate. Sometimes I use Illustrator on my desktop.
Oh, nice.
I used to do a lot more of that and just like drawing with my mouse until like a year and a half ago, and I finally got an iPad.
Yeah, so, I bet that was a huge game changer.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Is it so once you have that is it hard to make? I'm always curious, like there's just something about like I'm always curious how certain people like the behind the scenes, like how they make stuff, like not just the finished product, but like what goes into it. So like you have this file and then is it hard to make an enamel pin from it, or like what goes into that process?
It's getting like easier all the time to do that stuff, which is pretty cool. Because in the past, I mean, I guess you still mostly have to have vector files to do pins typically. At least I think that's the preferred format, the folks I work with. But so Illustrator was kind of like the only way to do that. But now there are a lot more Adobe programs for iPad with vector stuff. Right. So you can literally, draw with your pencil and do vector stuff, which is actually pretty new. I think like last year.
That's awesome.
So that's been a big game changer for me. Yeah, so it's been pretty easy to get designs made into pins and then also shirts and stuff.
Very cool. Have you found that one of your designs has been a lot more popular than the others over the years? It's just like skyrocketed up.
The Mothman Live Laugh Lurk design.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
my most popular, and that's definitely the one that like took off. I think.
Is that one also your favorite design, or do you have a different one that is your favorite?
I still love that design, obviously, but I don't know. It's one of those things that me, I've like seen it so much that it's hard to think about it
Mm,
objectively or see it that way. But I guess my favorite designs are usually like my most recent thing, just because that's what I was working on. So I like the
yeah.
recent Bigfoot sticker and or Sasquatch sticker and like Mothman pepperoni roll sticker I did. I like
Oh
some of the
man.
sloth stuff that I did just because I love sloths. But
Have you ever has there been a place where you've seen your work and it's just like it surprised you to see like it's interesting, like, so you make shirts and you make pins. Have you ever seen it like pop up in weird places or
yeah, I mean, pretty well. I'm trying to think of the weirdest, but people frequently like will be like, "Hey, I'm wearing your pin," or will like send me a picture of themselves wearing it or something. And I see my stickers on cars here and there,
oh
which is
that's
always
awesome.
fun. Yeah, that's always really fun. But I guess I mean some of the coolest are just like international places that my pins have gone to that
Oh
I'll probably
cool.
never go to. And
Yeah,
a few
yeah.
people have sent me like pictures of like their Mothman pin in like Greece or like Italy or something like that.
Oh
I'm
that is
just
so
like, oh my
cool.
god, there he is.
That is so cool. Yeah, I'm a big fan of your the Snallygaster pin is really cool.
Thank you.
That's cool. uh I'm working on getting a sweet coat to put them all on, but
Yeah.
yeah, that pin alone is like you got to get something cool to put it on. But what was it like working with blinko glass to design the Flatwoods Monster decanter?
It was really awesome.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of my, I mean, favorite projects and especially collaborations that I've gotten to do, and still super like grateful for them
Mm.
to them for like reaching out and everything, to work with me on it and even thinking of me for it. But yeah, it was super fun, like getting to come up with a design and then go down there a couple of times and seeing it come to life is, I mean, pretty indescribable. Especially since I don't get to work with like 3D stuff very often, and
Oh yeah, that's true.
just
Yeah,
having
that
that
yeah.
big object is super cool.
Was that a thing where they approached you or you had kind of approached them or
They approached me about it. Yeah, I think they're
that is
hoping
awesome.
to collab more with artist and state. So
Oh, cool.
they, yeah, they got in touch with me right before all the COVID stuff started.
That's true.
Yeah,
Um, and speaking, so one of the coolest things that I've seen on your Instagram is that you've partnered with Morgantown Brewing Company to have your artwork on their like beer cans, right?
yeah.
That is so cool.
Thanks. Yeah, that's also been like a dream come true for me. I mean, I
Mm,
love food and beverages and all that. And I like, you
yeah.
know, I've always wanted to design a beer can label. So to get to do so many for them, and they mostly let me do what I want and do weird stuff. So it's been really awesome.
Oh, really? They're like just do whatever you want and we'll
For the
put it
most
on
part,
our
yeah.
cans.
Sometimes we're like, we had a crazy idea, but honestly, like more than half the time, I'm like, that's what I was thinking. But yeah, it's a lot of fun collabing with them and
Nice.
stuff.
Nice. That is so cool. Can you, for the people that are not familiar with cryptids in West Virginia, um, and this is asking a lot, but like, can you give a rundown like what your favorite cryptids of the state are?
Yeah, I mean, I love them all, and they're all very special. But Mothman's probably my favorite. I like Flatwoods Monster a lot. I feel like Flatwoods Monster is really, really unique as far as cryptids go because it's, I mean, I guess more of an alien almost, but
That's
looks
true.
kind of like it had some like machine parts, it seemed like from the description sometimes. So like I don't know what's
Mm-hmm.
going on in there. Um, I like Sheep Squatch a lot, mostly because he's been seen in like Boone County, where my family's from, in southern West Virginia.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so he's cool, and I'm glad he's kind of been getting more notoriety in the past few years.
That's awesome. Yeah, the your version of sheep squatch is very fluffy. It's funny. I
Yeah,
laugh every time I see it. It's like you just want to like just like fluffy, give him a noogie or something.
yeah,
Oh, it's so
it's kind of
funny.
stuffy.
Bigfoot Anonymous sends in a question and he's like, what is your favorite West Virginia cryptid? So he's kind of making you choose, if you can. I know it's hard to choose one of your,
Yeah,
choose just one, but
I guess I'd have to go with Mothman.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. Probably not
Yeah,
too surprising.
that makes sense. Once you see the abs, it's like it's game over, right?
You
Yeah,
can't go back.
that's right. There's a shirt there somewhere. Um, when you created, so your version of Mothman is very unique. Did you use anything for inspiration, or like, or was that just like something where you're like, because he kind of has like a, it's weird the way he, like, you can almost see him moving around like a person. It's just, if it's a
I
very
appreciate
fun
it.
interpretation of it.
Thanks. I guess my main initial thoughts when I was like sketching Mothman and stuff for the first time was I did specifically I didn't want him to look too like masculine and I mean very muscular like the statue. Because a
That's
lot of
true.
the representations are super like menacing and scary and or like
Mm-hmm.
overly like hyper masculine. Um and I mean I like funny, silly stuff. So I did want him to have that kind of edge, but also like you said, kind of be like an everyday person. So like some people have described him as like a slice of life anime Mothman, and I think that's my
Yeah.
favorite description.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, what's the name of the show? It's like you could imagine a bar scene in BoJack Horseman, and he's just like hanging out at the bar, and like,
Yeah,
they just come in and start hanging out with him. Like, that would be pretty solid, I think.
that would be
Uh,
awesome.
so as interviewers seem to do these days, I've done a deep dive on Instagram because that's where you find a lot of cool stuff. Rutro, explain to me, and I have my own thoughts on this, but explain to me what it makes cassette tapes so cool.
That's a unexpected but good question.
Yeah,
So
thanks.
I don't know if it was apparent from the posts that I do, but occasionally about tapes, but I run a cassette label with my
Oh,
partner.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
um, occasionally we've done some vinyl stuff too, and then of course we have digital stuff on Bandcamp, but mostly tapes, and we've been doing that since 2010. Um, I don't know. I guess we just thought it's a really accessible format
Mm-hmm.
for both the artists and audiences who like want some memorabilia or something from a show, and
Oh,
it's just
totally.
really fun. It's not you don't have to commit a bunch of money and space to it like you would vinyl, and
That's a
yeah,
great,
I don't
that's a
know.
great point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has a
I
nice
didn't think
warm
of that.
sound more than CDs. So
Yeah. I mean, in high school, it's like well, I don't know if listener, like a certain generational listener will get this, where your first car had the tape player in it.
yeah,
Maybe not everyone listening to this will get that, but you remember driving around. There's something like you just like putting a cassette tape and it's cool. And you
for
like,
sure. Yeah,
I remember I had Karate Kid soundtrack that was rocking, and I had the one of the Wang Chung albums. And dude,
nice.
no one looks at you bad
Yeah,
when you're jamming out to Wang Chung, unless you're
yeah.
just too busy jamming out to Wang Chung. But
I
um,
think my first cassette was Macarena on tape. I think that was the first one I had, and I like played it until it literally like did the and like spooled out, which my parents were probably like
yes,
really happy. And I was like, yes, it's broken.
totally. Oh man, that is so good. What's your so I know like vinyl people have their perfect setup for listening to vinyl. What's your perfect setup for listening to cassette tapes?
We have an old like Technics player right now,
Oh, nice.
and honestly, not the best stereo. We really need to upgrade eventually, but
Okay.
yeah, it's a 2 deck cassette player at least.
It's like the one that
I,
like John Cusack holds over his head type deal. And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, totally.
But yeah, my ideal
Nice.
one would definitely be nicer stereo and some cool vintage speakers and stuff.
Rockin'. Um, you had a really interesting photo. Explain to me, and I guess I'm pretty sure this is a West Virginia thing. Explain to me what the Green Bank Observatory is.
It's a radio telescope.
Okay.
That's really big. I'm
Okay.
not
It's
the
like
best at
it's
remembering
the
like
biggest
facts
one,
about it.
right?
I think so. Yes, I'm sorry. I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where they do like the SETI stuff from.
Oh, snap. Really?
Yeah.
Oh man.
So it's super cool.
That's amazing.
And I can't remember what the term is for the area where I think it's the same, but it used to be like there weren't like cell towers and like interference and stuff.
I've seen a show about, yep.
I can't remember what the
Yep,
term
yep.
is, but yeah, it's a really, really cool place. I think I've gone to go once or twice.
Nice.
And
Nice.
visit it. Yeah, it's really cool.
The next I'll be honest, I've got this interview, I got some weird questions. So, just bear with me on these. It kind of get fun. So explain to me, I've noticed that you've started playing Fallout 76.
Oh yeah,
Is that
recently,
fun
yeah.
stuff, or what's the story there?
It's pretty fun, yeah. So I mean, first of all, like I'm not an Xbox player at all. I do
Okay.
Switch games and like computer games mostly, and Animal Crossing is what I've been obsessed with. So I'm not really into like any shooting games for the most part. But obviously the setting of Fallout 76 is something like I feel like I had to see as someone that's in West Virginia, as a West Virginian.
Totally.
Not to mention all the cryptid stuff, because when it came out was when had been maybe a year into doing my cryptid art, so it was just super surreal and weird. And they were at Mothman Festival. Bethesda had some people there, like giving out
that's
merch
crazy.
and stuff. And there are tons of cosplayers and stuff. But anyway, long story short, I waited a bit to play it because I did hear about how buggy it was, and people were super happy that just like mostly glitches and stuff, I think, and some of the formatting stuff in the game, but they've updated it a lot since then. So
nice, yeah.
Yeah, my partner and I started playing, I guess about a week or two ago, and it has been really cool, like seeing some of the stuff in the game. Yeah, I probably wasted too much time on it already, but
it doesn't matter. If you're still getting the designs done and stuff, then it's like it's okay to have a little bit of fun, right? Like I don't think I get that too. It's like I feel like there's, and I know I'm this way where it's like I feel guilty if I do something that is fun and that there's nothing productive coming out of it.
Yeah,
so it's like
exactly.
It's like you just have to give yourself the okay, like just watch DuckTales for a few minutes. It's fine. You're not going to make any money or anything, but just watch some DuckTales. It's a good time.
Right.
Oh my goodness. That got
It's funny
deep.
you mentioned that because that song is always in my head for some reason. The DuckTales
Okay.
song.
But which one is the question?
Oh God,
because
I don't remember.
they're different though. Are you talking about old DuckTales or new DuckTales?
Oh, old.
Oh, good work. Yeah. Yep. The new one is interesting.
Yeah.
I mean,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't ever. I mean, it depends. Like if you like a lot of SNL actors are in it. So that's kind of cool.
Okay.
But then it's also like if you grew up on old school DuckTales and like reading the comic books and stuff.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like that way most of the time, like new cartoon reboots and stuff. So
totally. They're making a live action reboot of Chippendale's Rescue Rangers, and I'm very, very extremely worried about it.
Yeah.
Time, so. Don't kill my childhood, guys. Come on. I'm also curious, because this seems to be a cultural phenomenon that maybe I just don't get. What makes possums so incredibly cool? Like it seems like possums have come into the limelight and they're like to kind of popping up everywhere. Is it like, what is it that makes these guys just the cool?
I agree, they have kind of gotten like more popular, which I think is good. I think partially it was because they're sort of like a misunderstood creature. A lot of people think that they carry disease and that they're like rabid most of the time and stuff like that, which is true. And they actually eat a lot of insects and ticks and stuff that do carry disease. And I think they're super cute. But yeah, I think so. That's kind of part of like them being an underdog and kind of like an icon of Appalachia along with the other trash animals like raccoons and whatnot.
I'm loving that. I'm loving that. Like that's a good answer. If someone was, let's say, visiting West Virginia, they'd never been before, what's gonna be like? What's the top things they would hit? No, they would want to hit in a weekend.
Just generally in West Virginia.
Yeah, well, let's say they kind of like cryptids. We'll go with the
Okay.
audience of the podcast.
Sure.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, I guess Point Pleasant's kind of an obvious one, but I feel like
sure.
that's a big one. There's tons of Mothman stuff there. The museum and everything is super cool. And the Flatwoods Monster Museum in
Yep.
Sutton is also super cool. So those are definitely two highlights. I guess, I mean, there's the spot where the Grafton Monster was seen, which I haven't actually been to, like, the spot. Like, I think there are people that could show you. You could kind of snoop around there. I don't know if they're doing more stuff for him. There was like a sign and stuff up, but hopefully there'll be a museum or something.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that would be cool. We actually, a group of us had a discussion about that. Like, that's a cryptid where it doesn't seem like it has enough love yet.
Yeah,
It seems like
I don't
it's
know if
going
it's just
to.
because he was seen once, but
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm excited for the West Virginia Bigfoot Museum to come into play.
Yeah.
And right now, it's close to, it's in Flatwoods, I believe, in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm excited
that
for that
should be
too.
pretty cool. I'm into Bigfoot, hence the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, right. Um, I've started with the podcast. I've started a thing where I'm going to ask the same set of questions and see how the answers are. And I think it'll be kind of a fun thing for the listeners. So
Cool.
I started this with Dr. Jeff Meldrum a few nights ago. And then, so you're the second one. I'm kind of like fine tuning the questions. And actually
Okay.
they kind of changed a little bit, but so here we go. Is there anything I should ask you that I don't know enough about you to ask?
I am a musician, or I used to play more music than I
Okay.
do now, but that was
Oh,
is
nice.
a big part of my life. I mean, along with the tape label.
Okay, so when you were saying that you had the tape label, you're actually putting your own music on the tapes.
I did. Well, actually, I think my band was only on one of the tapes that we put
Okay.
out. So not too much of that. We mostly put out stuff from other people, like all over. But I played
That's
mostly like
awesome.
locally in shows, and yeah, we had a
Okay.
few.
Um, what's if people want to listen to your work, what's the name of the band again?
The Fur with two R's, FURR.
Nice.
We have a band camp.
So Bandcamp, I'll find the link for that and I can
Okay.
I'll put it in the show notes. But so primarily on Bandcamp then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Very cool. Very cool. What are you most excited about as a person right now?
Just anything.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
very
probably.
open-ended.
I mean, hopefully doing events again, some events again
Yeah.
this year, and next year, because I really miss conventions and stuff.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, well, so when I started this, it's like I was just really the only convention I've been able to go to is the Van Meter Visitor Festival. There you go, listeners. There's the one time I talk about it all the time. But eventually I want to go to Mothman Festival, Cryptid Con. Are there any others that you recommend that are pretty solid to hit?
I mean, there's some smaller ones in West Virginia, like Comic Con stuff that I've done. I'm trying to think. There's a West Virginia like paranormal expo that a guy here started. That was super cool.
Oh, nice.
Like a weird West Virginia one. Mostly stuff in states. What I've gotten to do.
Okay.
So far,
Very cool. Very cool.
Excited for Cryptid Con. I didn't get to go yet.
Yeah, from what I heard, Cryptid Con gets pretty wild. It's a pretty good time. They have a pretty big stuff. Well, it's like I don't know if it's like it's like a fake taxidermy Bigfoot, but
I think I
it's
saw
pretty
it in
solid
a,
looking.
yeah, I think I've seen it in like people posing with it in pictures. It looks huge.
I mean, it's not like Big Fur or like, or Murphy from the NABC, but it's still pretty solid. So,
Yeah.
uh, what are I don't know if you're into this, but we'll try it. What are the top books that someone getting into cryptids should have on their bookshelf? Are there any that you recommend?
Honestly, I need to read more myself, so I wish I could recommend more. I mean, Mothman
That's all right.
prophecies.
Oh,
Yeah.
unexpected. That's totally. By John Keel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Nice. That's a good recommendation.
Thanks.
The last set of questions is going to be, imagine if we're in the July 4th fireworks and at the end you'd be like, you see them all, right? This is going to get wild. This is the first time I'm trying this, so get ready. So what are your reactions? Or I'll just do this. So following questions. What, in your opinion, is Bigfoot?
What is Bigfoot?
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good question.
They
Well,
get
I
harder,
guess,
don't worry.
I mean, I have like varying thoughts on if all cryptids and kind of creatures like that are interdimensional beings that kind of
Ooh.
pop in and out that we see sometimes, and they go in between stuff. That's kind of what I think the most, and include Bigfoot in that.
Okay.
But Bigfoot and Sasquatch also seem the most likely that maybe they are an actual creature out there that's very elusive, some kind of mammal that maybe some people that live in isolated places have actually seen. But
And the great thing about this is there's no wrong answers. So
yeah.
if
Thank
people
God.
get bent out of shape about it, you need to check yourself. Um, is Mothman good or something else?
I like to think he's good or neutral.
Okay.
I kind of fall into the camp that he's usually trying to like warn people about stuff rather than doing any harm himself or trying to scare people. But I don't know if we know what he is, I guess, or what his intentions are.
All we know is he's ripped beyond belief. Whether he's using that for good or evil, that will have to be seen in the future. What are these pale crawler humanoids that keep being seen? Have you seen these? They're like pale crawler humanoids. There's usually, I don't know if you go on TikTok, it's like they're really weird looking.
Are they like Fresno night crawlers or different?
No, they're not night crawlers. They're like have you seen the rake before? The cryptid, the rake. Well, this is fine. This will happen in these questions. Sometimes and it's fine. We can do it as a pass. If you don't know what these are, you probably shouldn't look them up because you'll get creeped out.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, although maybe you can make a cool like design out of it, make like a nice pale crawler humanoid. Who knows? you could pull it off. What are your thoughts on window areas?
You say window areas?
Window areas. And so I can define what that is. So it's like supposedly there's certain areas of the US where the veil is a little bit not as heavy, and you're going to see a lot of weird Fortean things like Bigfoot sightings, UFOs, things like that. Do you think that could be a thing? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, it makes sense as far as West Virginia, like you said, having a lot of cryptids, and then how Mothman's been seen, like specifically in Chicago, specifically around the airport there, and stuff like that. So
that's true.
Yeah, I've thought of that kind of stuff. It seems possible.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's a good answer. Last is, what do you think your top, if you were to have to say top evidence for Bigfoot, what would you say?
I mean, people that I know have even like they have found footprints or things that they think are. Okay. So I guess I'm gonna have to go with that.
Nice. Hey, that's awesome. So my fear with this one is everyone's just going to say Patterson Gimlin film, but I love that. You're actually like, I know this person, that they're not insane, they're highly respected, and they saw a Bigfoot or they saw tracks, and that's enough for me. I love that. That is really cool. Liz, thank you so much for hanging out and
Oh, thank you so much for
putting
having me.
up with all these wild and crazy questions. Do you mind running through what are the ways that people can check out all your work and pick up some awesome stuff and just kind of
Sure,
plug
yeah.
all your stuff, you know?
So I'm on Instagram a lot, at keep on underscore creeping on there. And I also have an Etsy store. That's where most of my merch you can find Liz Pavlovic design on Etsy. And I also have a threadless store under Liz Pavlovic design. Or no, it's Keep On Creepin On, sorry. And
Okay.
that has, threadless like made to order stuff. Um, so it has a few more shirt options and stuff like that. But
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Someday when I hit the lottery, you're going to see the order come in. Iowa's, you're going to have to send everything to Iowa.
Yeah.
Because you make some rocking stuff. Like, hats off to you. You're
Thank you
definitely
so
one
much.
of the top in the cryptozoology art niche. And of course there's others too, but like, hats off to you. Liz has agreed to stay on a few extra minutes after the end of this interview, chat a little bit longer for the Patreon side of the podcast. If you want to hear the extra stories she has, you can go to patreon.com/Bigfoot Society. $5 a month, and it supports the podcast, helps us keep going and interviewing crazy people. Upcoming episodes will include Lyle Blackburn, who I'll be talking to in an hour, Shannon LeGros, and all sorts of crazy stuff. So thanks again for the support, guys. And Liz, thanks again so much for coming on. Have a
Thank you
great
so much.
rest of your night.
Thanks, you too.